Well, new overnight, around 60 migrants from Texas arrived in Chicago. These are migrants that are in the country illegally, and we've got reaction from all of those involved. Good morning. It is Springfield's Morning News. I'm Greg Bishop on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and Talk. At 6:13, expecting a high of 86 today. If you want to chime in live and local, 217-629-7970, or you can also email bishoponair@gmail.com, or follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search Bishop on Air, and we can connect that way. So Mayor Lori Lightfoot announcing that around 60 migrants who crossed the U.S. border illegally are now in Chicago, and more are to be expected. So overnight, it was announced by Texas Governor Greg Abbott that he was indeed sending migrants from Texas who crossed the border illegally into Texas, sending them to Chicago. He posted on Twitter, "First Texas bus of migrants has arrived in Chicago. Biden's inaction at our border puts Texans at risk and is overwhelming our communities. We'll continue busing migrants to sanctuary cities like New York City, Washington, D.C., and now Chicago until the federal government does its job to secure the border." So Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot announcing overnight that she indeed is welcoming around 60 migrants to the Windy City. Here's some of what she had to say. She said, "Today, the city of Chicago received confirmation that approximately 60 migrants were traveling to Chicago by way of Texas. Chicago's a welcoming city," she said. She also went on to say that the city is going to be accepting them with dignity and respect, and said that Abbott is implementing, quote, racist practices of expulsion. She went on to say that we understand that many are fleeing violent, traumatic, and otherwise unstable environments. This is such an important moment for Chicago, as a city has been a sanctuary for thousands of newcomers. We are welcoming them, and we will not turn our backs on those who need our help most. Love to hear your thoughts on this. 217-629-7970. That's the phone number. Previously, Abbott has sent around 10,000 migrants crossing the border illegally into Texas to Washington, D.C., to New York City, and now Abbott says that Chicago is going to be the next drop-off location for the busing strategy as part of the governor's response to President Biden's open border policies overwhelming border communities in Texas. So Abbott said in a statement, to continue providing much-needed relief for small towns overrun, Chicago will join fellow sanctuary cities, Washington, D.C., and New York, as an additional drop-off location. Mayor Lightfoot loves to tout the responsibility of her city to welcome all, regardless of legal status. And Abbott said he looks forward to seeing their responsibility in action as those migrants receive resources from a sanctuary city with the capacity to serve them, he said. Now, Governor J.B. Pritzker, he offered up a statement as well, posting on Twitter that Illinois welcomes refugees, asylum seekers, and immigrants, and we're working with federal and city officials to ensure that these individuals are treated with respect and safety as they look to connect with their family and friends. He talked about how his family immigrated from Ukraine back in 1881, and immigrants like his family, he says, seeking freedom and opportunity, built this country. Illinois is and always will be a welcoming state. Now, undocumented migrants in Illinois, they get a variety of different types of benefits, including a temporary visitor driver's license. They can apply for that. But there's also a recent policy change in the state of Illinois that offers up subsidized health coverage through the Illinois Department of Healthcare and Family Services for non-citizens aged 42 and up that meet a certain income threshold. So those are just some of the benefits that undocumented people in the state of Illinois can expect to receive, as we now have 60 from Texas that we know of. It's very likely we could see more in the future as Texas Governor Greg Abbott continues his busing strategy. Would love to hear your thoughts. 217-629-7970 is the phone number. Good morning. You are on WMAY.
Good morning. Yeah, I don't have a problem with them shipping them anywhere, but my thing is, I question their theory or what their plan is down there, because their whole thing is they don't want them in the country, right? They want them to go back to Mexico, right? That's the thing. They don't want them in their country, correct? So why would
or to be processed properly, to go through the the legal process that they say needs to happen, and having court dates and whatnot? They fear that too often it's catch and release. So even if Border Patrol does catch individuals, they get released, and a lot of these individuals,
Right.
at least
Well,
according to the Chicago Sun-Times this morning, several of them said that they wanted to go to New York, but the undocumented migrants ultimately heard that Chicago was an option, and they chose that instead.
well, the thing is, if their whole ploy is to make them go back home or not be in the country, why would you send them deeper into the country where the chances of them returning are even farther from the truth? I mean, you think sending them deeper in the country is going to have them go home quicker or make them go home? No.
I
That
don't
makes no sense.
think they're going home because they
No,
left
well,
home for a purpose, and that purpose, it's a myriad of different reasons as to why people are
yeah, well,
fleeing.
sending
their
them
home
deeper in the
countries.
country doesn't solve the problem.
Yeah.
So that makes no sense.
Well, and again, it doesn't make much sense either to Greg Abbott, the Texas governor, to have what he says is an open border policy. So the Chicago Sun-Times was able to talk with some of these migrants, and mostly are from Venezuela. One individual, Cesar Rodriguez, 21 years old, told the Sun-Times, "We crossed the jungle, Colombia, Panama, Honduras, Guatemala, Mexico, and then got here," he said. Others talked about how they faced a lot of opposition on their way, a lot of scrutiny on their way. One individual said that he was waiting for a friend to give him the green light to get down to Louisville, Kentucky, which kind of indicates that they're not going to just stay in Chicago. They could be going elsewhere as well. 217-629-7970 is the phone number. Again, new overnight. We've got indication that undocumented migrants that cross the border illegally into Texas have been bused to Chicago, around 60. Chicago is now a destination added by Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas. He's been sending undocumented migrants to Washington, D.C. and New York City. Now Chicago's on that list. Your thoughts? Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Morning, Greg. I want to vote Abbott for Hero of the Week. This guy is amazing. And the last caller, they're coming here for a reason. They're not trying to go back home. So they're doing them a favor. If anything, the guy said, well, you're pushing them deeper into the country. They're not going to go back home. Do you think they're coming here to go home? They're coming here to live.
Yeah. They're coming here for what a lot of people come to this country for, and that is better opportunities. But, there's the right way to do it, and there's the wrong way to do it. The wrong way to do it is to cross the border illegally. There doesn't seem to be severe consequences to that illegal action. But the right way to do it, we just saw recently, a couple of weeks ago, there were like 600 some odd people in Chicago that were here on visas and ultimately were granted citizenship. They went through the process of getting citizenship and being naturalized in this country. That's the right way to do it. So new overnight, around 60 migrants that crossed the border illegally into Texas have been bused from Texas to Chicago. More is expected. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Yeah, you cut me off, but this just proves that Lightfoot and J.B. Pritzker they really don't care about the law. I mean, they're going to support these people. They're letting them in. They just don't. They're above the law. They don't care about the law. It doesn't matter to them.
Got you down. All right, it is Springfield's Morning News. Plenty of opportunity for you to sound off on this throughout the morning, so stay here with Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY, Springfield's News and